All right, we're here for media availability, week 11, prior to facing Washington State here at California Memorial Stadium with offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Jake Spavital. We'll go ahead and get questions started with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report.
Good morning, Jake. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm wondering if you've had a chance to talk on the phone, perhaps with JV Thomas, and as a coach, how relieved are you that looks like he's out of any danger?
Yeah, that was a pretty scary situation. When you're in the heat of the moment, you don't see the severity of it. But when you after the game, watching it on the plane and just seeing what it looked like, it was a pretty scary situation for Javian to be in, and they kind of spooked a lot of people in our entire program at that moment as well, because he was laying there unconscious for a while, and that got pretty scary. But I haven't got to talk to him in person, but I've texted. He seems like he's in good spirits. And I think he's kind of anxious to kind of get back around his teammates and just kind of ease that process of getting back into the groove of things.
Is there any expectation he could play again this season?
I have no idea. I think that's more up to him. And, it's so early in from what happened on Saturday. Well, we haven't really got that far. We're just more concerned about him just being healthy right now. And just there is no rush for him. It's just kind of when he's ready to roll and when he feels comfortable.
Right. Justin said that Isaiah Fonse is perhaps week to week right now. Your running back room is getting a little thin. How do you deal with that on Saturday?
Yeah, it is getting thin. You look at Isaiah, and man, what a tough kid. If you look, he's got his hand wrapped up. He's in a boot right now. He's going in. He's still showing up every single day and rehabbing, and he wants to get back out there and fight with his brothers. And so we take that week by week. The room's getting a little bit thin with Javian out, and then just the unknowns of where Isaiah is. So you've got Jayod, as we know, is our guy, and then you're gonna see a lot of guys repping with Justin Williams-Thomas and Ashton Stredick. You're gonna see those guys kind of in the mix of a lot of different things. So we have bodies, and and we're. It's just kind of interesting on how the season's played out and how many different types of guys are getting carries in significant times. If you would have told me that Justin Williams-Thomas was going to finish the USC game, I thought you'd be crazy. But, it's just kind of how the cards that have been dealt to us. And, Jay Will stepped up in that game, and we feel confident in playing him, moving forward as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll go to Maria Koladova from Rivals.
Hi, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about Fernando Mendoza and kind of how you think his leadership has progressed through these past few starts, especially because they were against ranked teams.
Yeah, I think, the 3 games that Fernando's played in, or 4 games that Fernando's played in, they're pretty tough games, versus quality teams. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of growth for him, to be thrown into the fire in midseason form and conference play is tough on anybody. But just who he is and how he shows up every day. We've talked about his work ethic. We've talked about how much how big of a team player he is. But we've had a lot of talks about just being the kind of the consistency of, kind of the hope that we need on offense, and especially in times of adversity. And he's done a really good job. He knows when to, press, the issue with guys, and he knows when to pull off and be optimistic and be positive with them. And he's just been a breath of fresh air, like I've said before about him. It's fun watching him interact on the sidelines and talk with guys. And I think just him showing that he cares and being around the guys and involving people, on a play-by-play basis, in between drive basis where he's out there working through it all. I think just brings a lot of comfort to a lot of players around here. And they understand that Fernando will sacrifice himself at any point for the betterment of the team. And they know that. And that's why, he's been walking out as our team captain, what he did versus Oregon. And I think the guys rally around him just because of how much he wants to be successful for this team.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrato.
Yeah, sort of staying on that, he's been the guy who stays optimistic and upbeat no matter what the circumstance. It seems like even after Saturday's game, he was saying we're going to win 3 more and be in a bowl game. How important is it for your team to have a voice like that at a time like this?
Yeah, I think he brings some confidence. I think that, offensive play and some of the most successful teams I've ever been a part of, most successful offenses, they just have a confidence to them that they're going to get the job done. They're going to go win. And that's what Fernando brings. I think he's very confident in his preparation and being ready to be in those moments. And I think that just kind of is contagious in a way. It just kind of rubs off on everybody else out there that we got a quarterback that has a lot of confidence in what we're going to do, and he's going to go lead us down the field and score. And I think that's what's been something missing. And I think he brings that to the table for us right now.
In an era with so much player movement, you've got a redshirt freshman starting at quarterback who looks like he could be your guy for a while. How comforting is that to know that maybe you're going to be set at a very key position, and what do you have to do to make sure that he's still your guy?
Yeah, a Coach Wilcox question right there, but yeah, times are obviously different in college football, and I think everybody recognizes that we've got a quarterback that's being very consistent and starting to play at a high level and is very young. He's still got a lot of ball left ahead of him. His best days are are ahead of him as well. So it is just going to be fun watching him with the growth and the development, and just really a great offseason and understanding that he'd be the guy. I think that's going to bring even more confidence to Fernando. But when it gets down to, at the end of the season and what happens in the ever-changing climate of college football and the roster movement and all that stuff, I think you just take it a day at a time, and you get ahead of it, and you have full transparency with them, and then you have great conversations. But that's what I've learned being at Texas State for 4 years and dealing with a lot of this. You just got to get ahead of it and have the conversations. You can't just let it linger all the way out. You got to constantly be in contact with all of your players, throughout the course of the end of the season, moving into the offseason in the portal window. And
it seemed like he might have had a little tougher game Saturday than he'd had previously. What did you think about the way he played?
Yeah, I think Oregon's really good. I thought that we weren't getting the push that we needed at times. We couldn't find a rhythm. At times, when you see the rhythm, it looks pretty easy for us. And it's getting that first down. But we had 8 drives where we turned the ball over and we 3-and-outed. We couldn't get a rhythm at times, and it wasn't very good. I think that was frustrating for him. I think there's a lot of great tape. Sunday morning, Fernando and I watched it at 8 a.m. We flew in, he got up there, it was on his mind. We got in there and we kind of dissected the entire game and what to do and how to handle, good pass rushes and, your thought process when the run game's not hitting as cleanly as you'd like it to, and how we can utilize the perimeter and stuff. And there was a lot of teachable moments in that. And I think that he's going to grow a lot from this game, especially versus the number 6 team in the country, who I think is playing at a very high level right now in Oregon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, we'll go to Connor Letourneau from the SF Chronicle.
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
Hey, Connor, what's going on?
It's
been a while.
Yeah, I know. It's been a minute. You worked with a lot of great quarterbacks. Do you see any similarities between Fernando and some of the greats that you've gotten to work with, and what kind of are some of the specific similarities that you've noticed?
He reminds me of Davis Webb, as crazy as that is, of being here at Cal. He's a bigger body, more of a pocket guy, has okay mobility, and he runs well. When he gets the momentum going, he rushes for a lot of yards. That's the thing that I think he rushed for over 40 yards versus USC. He's always moving forward, and that was Davis. Davis scored a lot of touchdowns. Could do the zone read plays and do a lot of that, but. I think from the stature and who they are, from a playing ability, that is very similar to Davis Webb, but also from the way they prepare. Fernando he's one of the first ones in the building. He's the last ones to leave. He's going to watch tape. He has his regiment that he goes through, and Davis was the same way. And you kind of have to just, I kind of structure my meetings and everything around him because he's up here at the facility the entire time. And I try to make him as comfortable as possible. And I did that with Davis. And you listen to guys like that, if he brings an idea to the table, I'm going to listen to it because I know he's studied it. I know he's watched the tape. I know he's put the effort in and his intentions are to move the ball and score points. And that's very similar to what I had with Davis Webb. There's and I think the way he leads too is more about the work ethic, the preparation, the demeanor, the command, that's who it is. So, you never want to, comparison is the thief of all joy, of everybody. But if you had to choose, I'd say it's Davis Webb.
Obviously, he came out third out of training camp. But did you see anything in training camp that made you believe he was ready for this type of role sooner than you maybe initially anticipated?
Yeah, we all thought that eventually he would probably be a guy he's so young that it'd eventually be probably the best one there, because he's so raw that he was eventually just going to keep getting better and better and better and surpass everybody else. When you got into fall camp, you went with Sam, who had a different skill set than what any of them could bring to the table, which, I think, that dual threat quarterback, that running ability, that running threat is pretty tough to defend, and then it went down to an experience factor because Ben Finley's been, in college a little bit longer and had a lot more starts, but we knew that Fernando needed reps and just to keep repping him. And he took all the developmental reps, which you normally pass those to like the other quarterbacks, but he wanted them. He wanted to keep learning off of it. He took reps whenever he could have a chance, once we made that decision, and you just saw him consistently getting better, and he still has the same approach that he has right now. He was preparing to be the starter, even though he was the third string quarterback, which is a testament to who he is as a person.
All right, we'll go to Thomas Dunn from Right for California.
Good morning, Jake. You mentioned when the offense gets a rhythm when it loses the rhythm rather, and how that becomes difficult for you guys over the course of the game. Philosophically, when you call a game and you see the offense isn't in a rhythm, how do you find the balance between using tempo and not using tempo in order to get him out of the funk?
Yeah, Fernando is a guy that loves tempo, so I try to call that a lot because he's very comfortable with that, and I think it does, settle down the defense, and you don't get some of the exotic blitzes and stunts that normally occur up front. But just to get into a rhythm, you got to have like our screen game, our perimeter stuff, easy touches that are not just our true run RPO. So like when we're playing with tempo, I do a lot of just, pure, run RPO stuff. But like we also have to have some of these perimeter screens, like our tunnel screens and just like running back swing screens to just like easy touches that like can get you, 5 to 6 yards, like easy, like where you don't have to do a lot of blocking and rely on the O-line to consistently bring it every single play. And you got to have a lot of those one-offs. So like normally when I'm struggling, to get into a rhythm and our run game may not be popping like it normally is, I try to get into some misdirection stuff, get it on the perimeter, try to take some of the thinking out and just try to steal some yardage there. So you have to have some creativity in your play calling and the things you're repping when you can't just like life's great when you're just sitting there playing like run RPO and playing with tempo and it's all working, but you got to have some things that are one-offs to make sure that we can get back on track and stay the course, because it's very difficult for us to overcome those third and longs. So we need to always try to get in some like a manageable striking distance on those third downs.
Thank you.
All right, Steve Croner from the SF Chronicle.
Yeah, Jake, good morning. I got in a little late, so if this has been asked, I apologize. What distinguishes Washington State's defense?
I think they're obviously their head coach is a defensive guy and has done a great job and done great things. I think they're very sound in what they do defensively. They play extremely hard, and I think their defensive front is very dynamic. I think they're probably the most experienced defensive line, in terms of starts. Their defensive ends are very disruptive, high motor. I think they each got over 30 starts, in their career, and they've got some good interior guys. And I think they lean on those guys a lot because they can simulate a great pass rushing four, because these guys have played a lot of ball. They got high motor and they know what they're doing. And it allows him to mess with the back end a little bit more on how aggressive he wants to be from playing a cover 3 or a man principle. But he's going to lean on those defensive linemen a lot because they're so disruptive and they're very good players.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, we'll go back to Jeff Ferraro.
Jake, how is Sam Jackson doing physically? Is he, if you needed a backup quarterback on Saturday, would he be available?
He's day to day as well. We're repping everybody, but like I've always, you feel comfortable putting him in as a backup, just because he started games for us. So, you got 3 quarterbacks right now that have starting experience for us this year. So from a backup standpoint, you feel pretty confident in that.
But you don't know whether he'd be available still. And if he's not, it would be Ben.
Yes, it's always between those two, and it's always based off of how they're feeling throughout the course of practice. And I change my reps daily based off of how they're feeling and where they're going.
Finley is healthy.
Family's healthy as well. Yeah.
Right. Thanks.
Thanks.